Hello friends of Golf Course Quality Fertilizer. We're going to talk about how to mix and how to spray with a pump sprayer. And we'll also talk about how to use a proportioner gun and how you should apply that into the grass as well. What's nice about the herbicides that we use, we got them over here, is that they don't hurt grasses. So if you're using the proper herbicide, it's not going to hurt the good grass, it's only going to hurt the weeds that we're shooting for, okay? And so whenever I'm ready to mix, I'll always put it halfway full with water first, and that doesn't matter if we're using a herbicide, fungicide, insecticide, even fertilizer. We always want to fill it halfway full with water first. I always put my stuff together and make sure she's working before I put my money in it. For one, what am I going to do with that? For another, I could be wasting money if it doesn't work, and then I got to find another jug and pour it in and all that stuff. And so it's much easier to test it when it's clean. Plus, I like to also mess with that nozzle. And I like to have a brass nozzle on these guys because it seems to last a lot longer, and I like the pattern off a brass nozzle. And so I like to sit there and adjust it. So here's how I adjust my nozzle. I'll actually get a nozzle and I'll put it on there. I'll get it into so it's a full solid stream first, and then I'll actually back it off about a half a turn or so it's more like a shotgun coming out. It's still pretty solid stream, so I don't have to bend over when I'm doing it, and I can really put out the liquid really fast with it that way as well. So I'm not spending a bunch of time trying to go to each individual weed. If I had it down like this, where some people have it, and I'm going like this, and it's just a little bit of liquid in each individual weed, it would take me forever to do it that way. And so I always have it all the way open, and then backed off a little bit till it's a shotgun kind of spray, and then I'll go over here. Let's go check out real quick how I spray weeds. So right over here, I have an area that had a swing set in it, and so there was a lot of bare soil. We haven't even put seed in here, but it's actually growing in by itself. That's just the way grass is. And so when I go to an area that I'm going to spray, I don't try to spray each individual weed on it. I'll actually come through and walk in rows and kind of go back and forth on it, like this. And so you pump it a little bit more. And I go like this back and forth on it, and just getting the leaves wet of those weeds. If I see a few weeds I want to get a little extra, that's okay, I can do that. But I'll kind of just walk back and forth across the area. And I'll come back over here. I'm not real specific on it, because the key to killing weeds is persistence. And so you're actually going to spray your yard and come back 3 weeks later and spray it again. And so that way you can get the areas you missed, the areas that you didn't get quite enough on, and you'll be a little bit more efficient, and it'll work a lot better, fully killing those weeds so you can clean up your yard. So remember that. Come back in 3 weeks to kind of check out your lawn after you've done a big spray, and kind of go over things again, and just go across it. You don't have to be real specific or perfect. You're not going to be anyways, and you just go across there and spray those weeds. Okay, and so right there we've already sprayed a nice little 200 square foot area really fast with that. And so if you don't use it all up, you can put it away and go out there 3 weeks later and use the rest of it. Do not let it overwinter in there, or you're going to break your pump, and then this is going to separate the chemistries and it's not going to work. So try to spray it all out when the year is done. I try not to let it stay in there for more than a month or two anyways, but that's how you use the pump sprayer, how you apply it. Okay, now let's look at the proportioner gun. Proportioner gun's really nice because you can spray. Let's come back over here. Okay, so before we lead on to this, I want to finish talking about how to mix, okay? And so you fill it halfway full with water first, and then you add your stuff in it, and then you finish filling it the rest of the way up. So for example, if I'm going 2 gallons, I'm going to put a gallon in here. I'm going to pour in my herbicide or whatever I'm using, insecticides, whatever it is. Then I'm going to finish filling it. That way it doesn't clog up the screen down at the bottom and stick to the plastic, because this stuff is really sticky. It's made to be sticky. And so you want to put halfway with water, put it in, and finish filling it. That way it'll agitate well as good as well. So that's what you want to do in order to mix these sprayers. Now, the advantage of this guy that we were getting ready to talk about is I don't have to mix anything. I can just pour it in right here, and I can get 10,000 square feet out of this guy. So that's really nice. But I got to manage a hose, and I have to worry about getting close to things. But let's come over here real quick. And I'm going to show that same area. Now I'm just spraying water because it's going to rain today and all that stuff, and so we're just demonstrating. But when I go across like this, I'll wave my hand back and forth so that way I can get a good spray. Now what I really like about this is it really does get a wet area, and you can move really fast with it, and you can get a really good cleanup with this guy. It's really nice as far as going after a bunch of weeds to have one of these. And they're not that expensive. This is $35. The pump sprayers run between $20 and $30, and the backpack sprayer is about $60 on a cheaper side. You can get them for $100, even nicer. So that's what you can do with this. Now what you want to also do is you got these adjustments. So you want to make sure if you got a proportioner gun or a hose end sprayer, otherwise known as, is that you can put it on different numbers, and you can make sure that, so each number in this one in particular is a ½ ounce. And so I can do up to 5 ounces per gallon, or I can do, you know, a ½ ounce. And so for example, if I'm using a herbicide in here that says 1.5 ounces, I'm going to use setting 3. Now you also have to take into account the viscosity of that herbicide, okay? Because if it's a thicker one, then you might have to, even though it's calling for 1.5 ounces, you might have to have it on 4 or 5, depending on the viscosity of it, in order to achieve your 1.5 ounces, because it's going to pull it in slower from that. Okay, so that's why it's a proportioner. It's pulling it in and mixing it with the water. What I also like about this gun in particular is you can pull this nozzle off of here, and you can spray trees down with it. So you can actually spray really high and far with this. So if you're using an insecticide or a fungicide on some trees, you can use this guy to get that stuff wet. So that's pretty cool about this too as well. And that's how you use a proportioner gun. And remember, don't spend a whole lot of time. Just go out there, spray it. 3 weeks later, check it out again. If it's overwhelming or seems overwhelming, just section it off. Work in the front yard first for a while and get that cleaned up, and then work in the backyard. You're gonna be more efficient if you just go across it quickly and making sure you're getting the leaves wet of the plant, but not spending a whole lot of time being real specific on every single weed, okay? Spraying is easy, don't be afraid of it. And it's a lot safer to use liquids than it is a weed and feed, because then you're getting it all over your shoes. You can't get in the yard for 24 hours while it's all dusty out there and stuff, and hoping for the best if it's going to kill something. Okay? Have a good day.